While watching the stunning aerial maneuvers of the Blue Angels, one detail might catch your attention: the missing G-suits. Unlike most pilots, these high-flying performers pull off incredible maneuvers without the typical protective gear. What's the science behind this risky choice? How do these elite pilots navigate the skies with such precision and skill without the traditional G-suit safety net? Let's find out. G-suits are also called gravity suits or anti-G suits. These are special garments worn by military pilots to balance the effects of high gravitational forces experienced during extreme flight maneuvers like sharp turns or high-speed climbs and loops. These forces, known as G-forces, can push blood away from the brain towards the arms and legs, resulting in a condition called G-induced loss of consciousness, or G-lock. G-suits are designed to reduce G-lock by applying pressure to the pilot's lower body, which helps them maintain blood flow to the brain and prevents blackouts during high G formations. You can think of a G-suit as an airbag for pilots. When the plane pulls hard turns or steep climbs, the suit inflates with air or fluid. This extra pressure squeezes the pilot's body, particularly the abdomen and legs, preventing blood from pooling there and causing unconsciousness. By increasing the blood pressure in the body, G-suits make sure that oxygen-rich blood reaches the brain, reducing the risk of G-lock and allowing the pilot to remain conscious and in control of the aircraft. There are different types of G-suits used by pilots, but each is designed to provide the best protection and comfort. The most commonly used type is the pneumatic G-suit, which uses air bladders to inflate and exert pressure on the pilot's lower body. These suits are lightweight, flexible, and highly effective. Another type of G-suit is the liquid-filled G-suit, which uses fluid pressure instead of air to inflate. These suits are often used in high-performance fighter aircraft and offer advanced protection against G-forces. Some pilots may also use partial pressure suits or full pressure suits, which provide additional protection against altitude-related effects such as hypoxia or decompression sickness. The Blue Angels, however, choose to fly without any kind of G-suit. Before we answer why, let's take a look at how their flying style differs from other aircraft, which might give you an idea for the reason. The Blue Angels are all about precision and teamwork, and you can see it in their close formation flying and low-altitude stunts. And if you've ever been to a Blue Angels airshow, you have witnessed a synchronized performance unlike any other. Planes fly close, wingtip to wingtip, and when they dive low to the ground, they stop right above the treetops, enough to make the audience's heart skip a beat. However, while the Blue Angels' performances might look like something out of an action movie, they're actually quite different from combat flying. In combat, pilots focus on tactics, strategy, and, above all, staying alive. They're focused on dodging missiles, engaging enemy aircraft, and completing missions with precision. But when the Blue Angels take to the sky, it's all about putting on an extraordinary show. They're showcasing the skill, precision, and teamwork of naval aviation while also inspiring a global audience with their displays. Nonetheless, flying with the Blue Angels is no walk in the park. It's physically demanding, and it requires peak performance at all times. These pilots experience intense gravitational forces during their flights, up to 7 or 8 times the force of gravity. Imagine having a giant elephant sitting on your chest. That's quite close to what these pilots experience during these flights. It puts a heavy strain on their bodies, especially their cardiovascular system. Despite the intense physical demands, these pilots are trained to handle them with grace and skill. From close formation flying to low-altitude stunts, they push the limits of what's possible in the sky. And while their performances may differ from combat flying, they still require incredible physical and mental strength. So the next time you watch an air show by the Blue Angels, remember the incredible skill and dedication it takes to perform these gravity-defying stunts. But with such high risks, you might wonder, why don't the pilots wear safety gear? The absence of G-suits among Blue Angels pilots might seem surprising at first glance, especially considering the intense gravitational forces they experience during their high-speed moves. However, there are several logical reasons behind this unique choice. One of the main reasons is that G-suits can restrict movement, hindering their performance during tight maneuvers. G-suits are designed to inflate and exert pressure on the lower body during high G maneuvers, and this can limit pilots' movement in the cockpit. This restriction can be particularly problematic during complex formations that require accurate control inputs and rapid adjustments. Additionally, the inflation of G-suits during extended performances can lead to discomfort and fatigue, affecting the pilot's ability to maintain focus and perform at their best. Another concern is the potential interference with flight control caused by wearing G-suits. The inflation of a G-suit can create a barrier between the pilot and the aircraft's controls, making it harder to feel the aircraft's movements and respond accordingly. In a high-speed performance environment where quick decisions can mean the difference between life and death, any problem with the flight control cannot be afforded. Blue Angels pilots rely on precise flying techniques that demand a complete control over their aircraft, making G-suits an unsuitable option for their aerial displays. Apart from the practical reasons, aesthetics is also a factor in the decision not to wear G-suits. G-suits, with their bulky appearance and inflation bladders, can clash with the sleek and streamlined look of the Blue Angels' iconic flight uniforms. For the Blue Angels, a polished and professional appearance is paramount. Their stunning performances are not just displays of skill, but a meticulously crafted representation of the Navy's accuracy and professionalism. By avoiding G-suits, Blue Angels pilots can give a visually appealing performance to audiences worldwide. And it's time to answer the most important question. What is their source of protection if not G-suits? Not having G-suits doesn't mean that the Blue Angels pilots are left exposed to the intense gravitational forces they experience during their high-speed aerial displays. Instead, these aviators rely on a combination of a specialized physical training, advanced techniques, and carefully designed flight profiles to manage the effects of high G stunts. Blue Angels pilots practice a special physical training routine to prepare their bodies for the demands of high G flight. This training includes strengthening exercises for the legs and abdominal muscles, which are crucial for maintaining stability and preventing blood pooling in the lower body during flight. Additionally, cardiovascular conditioning is essential to ensure pilots can bear the physical stress of sustained high G forces without giving in to fatigue or G-induced loss of consciousness. The Blue Angel strategy is primarily based on the anti-G straining maneuver, or AGSM. This technique, mastered through years of training and experience, is designed to prevent blood from pooling in the lower body and maintain blood flow in the brain during high G moves. The AGSM involves a combination of muscle tensing and controlled breathing, coordinated with the changes in aircraft attitude and acceleration. Additionally, Blue Angels pilots rely on carefully crafted flight profiles to minimize high G forces during their performances. These flight profiles include brief bursts of high G moves along with periods of lower stress, allowing the pilots to recover and lessen the effects of gravitational forces on their bodies. By optimizing their flight paths and sequences, Blue Angels pilots can deliver breathtaking aerial displays while minimizing the physical strain on themselves and their aircraft. The ability of the Blue Angels pilots to manage high G forces without G-suits proves their extraordinary skill, training, and dedication. Through years of physical training, mastering the anti-G straining maneuver, and strategic flight planning, these aviators push the boundaries of what humans and machines can do, putting on incredible shows that never fail to amaze us. Do you think there are specific health risks associated with long-term exposure to G-forces, even for pilots who use G-suits or undergo specialized training? Let me know your answers in the comment section below. When it comes to aerobatic teams, each unit has its own approach to managing the physical demands of high-performance flying. Let's take a closer look at how the Blue Angels practices compare to those of other renowned aerobatic teams, including the Thunderbirds of the U.S. Air Force. The Thunderbirds, like the Blue Angels, are well known for their precision flying and aerial displays. However, unlike their Navy competitors, the Thunderbird pilots do wear G-suits during their performances. These garments, as you know, inflate during high G stunts and help the Thunderbird pilots to endure the intense gravitational forces. The decision to equip the Thunderbird pilots with G-suits speaks volumes about the US Air Force's emphasis on safety and risk planning. By providing pilots with the additional layer of protection against G-lock, G-suits allow Thunderbird pilots to focus on performing their maneuvers with precision and confidence. While the use of G-suits may restrict mobility to some extent, the benefits in terms of pilot safety and performance outweigh any potential drawbacks. Let's see one of the most crucial strategies to endure high G-forces, AGSM, in more detail. How does AGSM protect the Blue Angels against high G maneuvers? Imagine pulling tight turns at 10,000 feet. Normally, all that G-force would push your blood down to your legs, making it tough to see and think straight. It can be a deadly scenario for a pilot. This is where AGSM comes to the rescue. By tensing their legs and abdominal muscles while performing a specific breathing pattern, Blue Angels pilots increase their blood pressure and prevent blood from pooling in the lower body. Doing so reminds their bodies to keep the blood flowing to where it's needed the most, the brain. But mastering AGSM is not just about mind over matter. It's also about having the physical strength and the capability to pull it off. Blue Angels pilots undergo rigorous physical training to prepare their bodies for the demands of high-speed flight. From strengthening exercises for their legs and abs to keeping their hearts pumping strong, these pilots are always in peak physical shape. Their preparation is very similar to that of an Olympic athlete, but instead of going for gold, they're aiming for the skies. In the end, AGSM is more than just a fancy trick. It's an important strategy that allows the Blue Angel pilots to push the limits of gravity and endurance. With a little muscle tensing and a lot of practice, they can defy gravity and keep the show going, thrilling audiences around the world with their spectacular performances. The complicated relationship between G-forces and human endurance. Flying at high speeds and pulling off stunning air shows is a physically demanding job that only a few can perform. While anti-G straining maneuvers, or AGSM, helps the Blue Angels pilots endure the extreme forces of flight, there are still limits to what the human body can handle. G-forces, or gravitational forces, are a measure of the acceleration experienced by an object due to gravity. When pilots perform high-speed maneuvers, they are subjected to G-forces that push their bodies to the limits. The maximum G-forces a human can typically withstand vary depending on factors like age, physical condition, and duration of exposure. In general, most people can handle up to about 5 Gs before experiencing significant physiological effects like visual impairment, loss of consciousness, or even fatal injuries. AGSM helps Blue Angel pilots fight G-forces, but even this technique has its limits. They can't hold it forever. Performing AGSM requires intense concentration, muscle tensing, and controlled breathing, all of which can take a toll on the body over time. Pilots have to strike a delicate balance between pushing the limits of their endurance and knowing when to dial back the intensity to avoid exhaustion or injury. Ultimately, the key to managing G-forces lies in pilot training and conditioning. Rigorous physical training regimens help prepare their bodies for the demands of high-speed flight. From strength training to cardiovascular conditioning, these pilots are physically toned, allowing them to withstand G-forces for longer periods and recover more quickly between formations. Additionally, ongoing training and simulation exercises help pilots hone their skills and build endurance against extreme conditions. While G-forces throw pilots a serious curveball, they're also a chance to break limits and show what humans can truly achieve. With proper training, conditioning, and a healthy respect for the limits of their endurance, Blue Angels pilots continue to amaze us in every aerial display, regardless of the risks. How about other international aerobatic teams and their G-suit practices? Internationally, the use of G-suits among aerobatic teams differs depending on factors such as national aviation regulations, operational preferences, and budget considerations. Some countries, like Russia and China, equip their aerobatic teams with G-suits similar to those used by military pilots. These G-suits provide pilots with the added protection against the effects of high G-forces and ensure their pilots' safety during high-speed maneuvers. However, other countries, particularly those with smaller budgets, may opt not to provide G-suits to their aerobatic teams. In these cases, pilots must rely on training techniques, physical conditioning, and flight profiles to reduce the effects of high G maneuvers. This strategy, while demanding more from the pilots physically, keeps the teams operational even with budget constraints. As mentioned earlier, while G-suits offer valuable protection against G-lock, they also impose limitations on mobility and comfort. While specialized training and flight planning can offer alternatives to G-suits, they require a significant upfront investment in pilot training. In contrast, focusing on operational planning may provide greater flexibility and cost-effectiveness in the long run. Overall, the use of G-suits among aerobatic teams is different depending on a range of factors, including national policies, operational considerations, and budget constraints. While some teams, like the Thunderbirds, opt for the added protection of G-suits, others, like the Blue Angels, rely on alternative methods to manage the physical demands of high-performance flying. Nonetheless, each team must strike a balance between safety, performance, and operational efficiency during their mission to pull off whatever they're doing. Safety considerations and risk management. Safety is crucial for the Blue Angels. Hence, strategic measures are taken to minimize risks and ensure the well-being of both the pilot and the crew. From in-depth medical checkups to emergency procedures, safety considerations are included in every aspect of the team's operations. Before putting on their flight suits and taking to the skies, Blue Angels pilots undergo extensive medical evaluations to assess their physical fitness and suitability for high-performance flying. These checkups include cardiovascular evaluation, neurological screenings, and assessments of overall health and well-being. Pilots must meet strict medical standards to make sure that they can withstand the physiological stresses of high-G stunts without compromising their safety or the safety of their fellow team members. However, despite the extensive training and preparation, emergencies can still arise during Blue Angels performances. To prevent the risks associated with potential emergencies, the team has prepared extensive emergency procedures and protocols. These protocols apply to a wide range of scenarios, from in-flight emergencies to ground-based incidents, and they're designed to ensure swift and effective responses in any situation. Pilots and ground crew take regular training and drills to familiarize themselves with these procedures. This enables them to act quickly and effectively when an emergency happens. However, it must be kept in mind that balancing safety with the unique demands of the Blue Angels performances is a complex task that requires careful consideration and planning. While safety is always the top priority, the team must also deliver thrilling aerial displays that showcase the skill and precision of the Blue Angels. For example, flight profiles are carefully designed to minimize sustained high G formations, and that reduces the physical pressure on the pilots. However, they are still expected to deliver extraordinary performances. Additionally, pilots undergo the extensive training techniques such as the anti-G straining maneuver, which helps them endure the paralyzing gravitational forces. All in all, safety considerations and risk management are important components of the Blue Angels operations. Through thorough medical evaluations, emergency procedures, and a strong commitment to balancing safety with the demands of their performances, the team makes sure that the pilots fly safely through the skies and captivate audiences with their stunning performances. Have you ever seen the US Navy Blue Angels perform live? And have you ever noticed the missing G-suits in these performances? Be sure to share your experience in the comments below. If you enjoyed what you saw and learned something new, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating content about the US Navy. We appreciate your support and hope to see you again soon. Be sure to hit the bell icon so you can tune in to our next video right on time.